Imagine waking up one morning feeling like a stranger in your own life. You've done everything society told you to, studied hard, got the job, built the relationships, maybe even hit a few milestones. And yet, deep down, there's a silent whisper you can't ignore. This isn't me. That feeling, that disconnection, is the beginning of one of the most important psychological and philosophical journeys a human being can take. You're not failing. You're just waking up. Carl Jung called this the individuation process, the quest to become who you truly are, not who the world told you to be.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
Now, imagine standing alone in a vast desert. There's no one around, no applause, no validation, just you and your thoughts. What do you feel? Are you proud of who you are when no one's watching? That's the real test of success. Not the money, not the followers, not the titles. It's whether you can look in the mirror and say, I know who I am. And I didn't trade my soul to get here. Jung believed that the greatest tragedy of modern life is not failure, it's success achieved at the cost of the self. We climb ladders only to realize they were leaning against the wrong wall. So how do we succeed in life without losing ourselves? The first step is this: we must stop chasing someone else's idea of success. It's easy to get pulled into the current. Social media, culture, even family expectations, they all push us toward predefined definitions of success. But Jung said something powerful. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Not who your boss wants you to be. Not who your parents hoped you'd be. But who you are at your core. That's terrifying, isn't it? Because that means you have to let go of the masks. Let's talk about masks. Jung called them the persona, the face we show to the world. It's not fake, but it's incomplete. We wear it to fit in, to survive. But over time we forget we're wearing it. The danger is when the mask becomes more real than the face beneath it. Think about that. When was the last time you were fully, unapologetically yourself? When you said what you truly believed, even if it made others uncomfortable. The world rewards conformity, but your soul rewards authenticity. And if you're not careful, success will make you a prisoner of your persona. So what do? We begin with shadow work. Jung taught that the path to wholeness starts in the dark. The shadow is the part of you that you've disowned: the anger, the fear, the envy, the lust, the guilt. It's everything you've been taught to hide. But here's the twist: your power lives there too. Your creativity, your passion, your individuality, it's all tangled in the shadow. To deny it is to deny yourself. So ask yourself, what am I hiding from myself? What parts of me do I fear others seeing? And more importantly, what would happen if I stopped running from it? You see, succeeding without losing yourself means becoming whole, not perfect. Perfection is a trap. It's the voice that says you're never enough. Wholeness, on the other hand, embraces contradictions. You can be strong and vulnerable, confident and uncertain, kind and fierce. Jung said, I'd rather be whole than good, because being good often means pleasing others. Being whole means being real, and realness is magnetic. People can feel it. You don't have to shout. Your presence speaks louder than words. But this isn't easy. The journey inward is often harder than the journey upward. Climbing the corporate ladder, building a brand, chasing numbers, that's external. But diving into your soul, that's war. You'll face your inner critic, your past wounds, your unmet needs. And yet, this is where the magic happens. When you stop avoiding the pain and start listening to it, it transforms. Pain becomes wisdom. Fear becomes courage. Failure becomes freedom. You realize that you don't need to escape these emotions, you need to integrate them. Let's pause here. Ask yourself, who am I when no one's watching? What do I value? Not what I say I value, but what my actions reveal. Do I sacrifice my integrity for acceptance? Do I silence my voice to belong? These are not easy questions, but they're necessary. Because success without self-awareness is just ego. It's noise. It's empty. Jung believed that meaning is what saves us from despair. And meaning doesn't come from the outside, it comes from alignment. When your outer life reflects your inner truth, you feel alive. So how do we find that alignment? Start by listening. Your soul speaks in whispers, through dreams, emotions, synchronicities. Jung paid close attention to dreams not because they were magical, but because they were messages from the unconscious. Your dreams reveal what your conscious mind is too afraid to admit. Pay attention to what repeats. What symbols show up? What fears or desires keep coming back? They're not random. They're guides. Are you brave enough to listen? Next, embrace solitude. Not loneliness solitude. The time alone, without distraction, is where you meet yourself. In silence, masks fall, and you hear the voice beneath the noise. It might be faint at first. It might say things that scare you, but it's real. And that voice is your compass. The more you honor it, the stronger it becomes. And the more you ignore it, the more lost you feel, even if the world applauds you. This brings us to another paradox. To truly succeed, you must be willing to fail. Because authenticity is risky. When you live your truth, not everyone will like it. You will be misunderstood, judged, maybe even rejected. But what's the alternative? Living a life that's not yours, playing a role forever? Jung warned that suppression of the self leads to neuroses. You might succeed externally while dying internally. And that's the greatest tragedy of all. So take the risk. Speak your truth. Follow the path that excites and scares you. Not recklessly, but courageously. Each step you take in alignment with your truth is a step toward real success. Not the kind you can post online, but the kind that lets you sleep at night. The kind that fills you with quiet pride. The kind that says, I didn't sell my soul. Isn't that what we all want? But wait, let's go deeper. What if success isn't something you achieve, but something you remember? What if it's not outside you, but already within you, waiting to be uncovered? Jung believed that the self, the true you, is already whole. Our job is not to become someone, but to remove what's not us. All the conditioning, the stories, the fear. When you peel that away, what's left is pure. It's power, it's peace, and no one can take that from you. We live in a world obsessed with more. More money, more fame, more validation. But Jung reminds us that real growth is inward, real freedom is psychological, and real success is spiritual. It's knowing who you are, embracing all of it, and living from that place, even if no one else understands. Especially then. Now I want you to ask yourself the deepest question of all. If nothing external could define your worth, not your job, your looks, your achievements, who would you be? What would you do with your time? Who would you spend it with? What would you build, create, or destroy? This isn't a thought experiment. This is your life. But life doesn't work like that. The soul isn't an algorithm. It doesn't respond to force, it responds to honesty, to presence, and to courage. So if you're still here, it means you're not like most people. You want to succeed in life, yes, but not by becoming a copy of someone else. You want to win on your own terms. That's the path Jung walked, and it's the one we must walk now. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. What are you pretending not to know? Deep down, what truth are you avoiding because it would force you to change? Maybe it's the job you hate but won't leave. Maybe it's the relationship that drains you. Maybe it's the voice that says, "This isn't who I am," and you keep silencing it with distractions. Jung would say this is your shadow speaking. Not to hurt you, but to wake you up. The shadow isn't evil. It's the part of you that holds the truth you're afraid of. And until you face it, you'll keep projecting it onto others. Projection is one of the most powerful and dangerous psychological phenomena. When we don't own our inner world, we see it in others. You resent someone's confidence because you've buried your own. You judge someone's freedom because you've denied yourself the same. You envy someone's success because you've abandoned your potential. The world becomes a mirror, and until you clean your inner lens, you'll keep misreading the reflection. So the next time someone triggers you, stop. Ask, what is this showing me about myself? That question can change your life. Now let's talk about meaning. In a world addicted to performance, we've forgotten how to connect to purpose. Too many people are living for applause, but dying inside. Jung said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart." Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes. That's the shift from dreaming to awakening, from chasing to becoming, from performing to being. But here's the paradox: to find meaning, you must let go of the need to find it. You have to stop performing and start listening. Meaning isn't something you capture, it's something you uncover. This is why solitude is sacred, not in a romanticized way, but as a daily practice. Give yourself time each day to sit in silence. No phone, no noise, just you. Watch what surfaces. It might be boredom, anxiety, restlessness. Let it come. Don't run from it, because beneath that discomfort is your truth. We've been trained to avoid ourselves, to numb, to scroll, to binge. But every time you avoid the discomfort, you delay your growth. And every time you face it, even for a moment, you reclaim a piece of your soul. Jung believed that the soul speaks in symbols. That's why dreams are so important. But it's not just about sleep. Your waking life is full of symbols too. Patterns, recurring themes, emotional triggers. These are messages, invitations, warnings. Are you paying attention? Or are you so busy climbing the ladder that you've stopped noticing the scenery? If your soul could speak to you right now, what would it say? Would it whisper, "Keep going"? Or would it cry, "Please stop"? Would it say, "You're on the path," or "You've lost yourself"? That's not a rhetorical question. Sit with it. Let's talk about success again. Real success isn't about comparison. It's about alignment. When your values, your actions, and your purpose line up, you feel at peace, even if you're not where you want to be externally. But when you chase a goal that violates your soul, you'll always feel empty, even if you win. That's why so many high achievers feel hollow. They won the game, but lost themselves in the process. Don't let that be you. Define success for yourself. Write it down, make it sacred, and then ask, are my daily choices moving me toward or away from that vision? Here's a practical exercise. Write down 3 things you value most in life. Not what you think you should value, but what your soul screams for. Maybe it's freedom, integrity, creativity, connection. Now look at your calendar, your habits, your conversations, your decisions. Are they aligned with those values? Or are you betraying them to fit in, to succeed, to survive? If there's a gap between what you say matters and how you live, that's the crack where the soul starts to leak. Jung would say, that's your call to individuation. Not perfection, not performance, but wholeness. Wholeness means embracing your contradictions. You don't have to be one thing. You can be powerful and gentle, disciplined and soft, logical and spiritual. The world will try to put you in a box. Break it. The world will say, pick one identity. Refuse. You're not a brand. You're a soul, and souls are wild. They evolve. They expand. Jung warned that the more we suppress our complexity, the more we suffer. You weren't born to be simple. You were born to be real. And realness is messy, but it's also magnetic. Let's talk about fear, because fear is the gatekeeper to authenticity. It guards the door to your next level. Most people think they need to get rid of fear to move forward. But that's not true. You don't need to eliminate fear, you need to walk with it. Jung said that what you most need will be found where you least want to look. That means your fear is a compass. Not always right, but always honest. It shows you where your growth lives, where your freedom lives. So when fear rises, don't run. Ask, what is this trying to protect? What is it trying to teach me? This brings us to the idea of the inner child. Beneath your adult persona is a younger you still alive, still influencing your choices. That child holds your core wounds, but also your deepest creativity, your rawest truth. When you ignore that child, you become rigid. You perform. You people please. But when you reconnect with them, something powerful happens. Your life becomes more playful. Your instincts sharpen. Your soul softens. Jung understood that the inner child isn't a weakness, it's the source of your vitality. So ask, what did I need as a child that I never got? And how can I give that to myself now? You see, success is a byproduct, not a destination. It flows from alignment, from wholeness, from truth. And when you operate from that place, life responds, opportunities open, relationships deepen. You stop chasing and you start attracting. Not because you're manipulating, but because you're resonating. There's a difference. Chasing is rooted in lack. Resonance is rooted in truth. And truth is magnetic. Let's get even more real. What are you willing to lose to find yourself? Are you willing to be misunderstood, to disappoint others, to walk alone? Because the path of authenticity is narrow. Not because it's exclusive, but because few are willing to walk it. It's easier to follow the crowd, to play the role. But deep down, you know that's not why you're here. You didn't come to this life to impress. You came to express, fully, fiercely, freely. So here's your challenge. For one day, be radically honest with yourself and with others. No masks, no filters. Speak your truth with love, but without apology. Watch what happens. Some people might pull away, others will be drawn closer. And most importantly, you will feel alive, because you're no longer hiding. And that feeling, that's success. Not the fake kind, the real kind. The kind that can't be bought or posted. The kind that only comes from living in alignment with your soul. You made it to the final part, and that says something profound about you. Most people tap out before the real work begins. But you've stayed. You faced uncomfortable truths. You've asked the hard questions. And now, this is where everything starts to shift. The final layer. The place where success, soul, and self converge. This isn't about theory anymore. It's about transformation. Now, let's confront one of the most dangerous illusions, the belief that success will finally make you feel whole. That once you hit that number, get that recognition, buy that house, or find that partner, you'll finally be at peace. But the truth, if you're not whole before success, you'll still feel empty after it. Jung warned us, the more we externalize the solution, the further we drift from ourselves. That's why so many people keep achieving yet remain anxious, restless, or unfulfilled. Because they're trying to fix an inner wound with outer trophies. So what do we do instead? We turn inward. But not to escape the world, to engage with it from a place of truth. Real success is not about escaping the world, but showing up in it fully rooted in who you are. That's power, not dominance. Not manipulation, but presence. A grounded, magnetic clarity. You walk into a room and people feel it not because you're loud, but because you're aligned. And that alignment, it's earned. Through self-awareness, honesty, and inner work. Let's make this practical. Every day, you're faced with choices that either pull you closer to your essence or push you further away. Tiny betrayals add up. Saying yes when you mean no. Smiling when you want to scream. Nodding when your gut says run. Every time you abandon yourself to please others, you weaken your center. And the more you do it, the harder it becomes to hear your own voice. So ask yourself, where in my life am I betraying myself for approval? And what would it look like to choose truth instead, even if it costs me something? This is where courage comes in, because truth will cost you. It might cost you relationships that were built on false versions of you. It might cost you a job that no longer fits. It might cost you the image you've spent years curating, but what you gain is everything. you gain integrity, you gain peace, you gain yourself. And once you have that, nothing external can shake you. You become unshakable not because life stops throwing storms at you, but because your roots run deep. Here's something Jung understood deeply. The journey to self is not linear. It's cyclical. You will revisit the same wounds again and again, but each time from a higher perspective. Don't be discouraged when old patterns resurface. That's not failure, it's refinement. Growth is not a straight line. It's a spiral staircase. Each loop brings you closer to the core. And that core is your authentic self. Not the one shaped by trauma, society, or fear, but the one that existed before the world told you who to be. And that self? It's sacred. It's not here to perform. It's here to be. Fully. Jung called this the self with a capital S, the totality of who you are, beyond ego. The ego is necessary. It helps us function in the world. But it's not the king. It's the servant. The moment the ego takes the throne, we lose touch with our soul. And that's when success becomes dangerous. Because then, it's driven by fear, not love. By insecurity, not truth. By image, not essence. So how do we keep the ego in check? And through humility, through self-inquiry, through practice. Every day you must return to yourself. Strip away the noise. Ask, who am I becoming? And is that who I want to be? Meditation helps. Journaling helps. Stillness helps. But most of all, honesty helps. The kind of honesty that burns, that reveals, that humbles. That's the doorway to self-realization. And from that place, you don't just succeed, you elevate. Let's go even deeper. Imagine for a moment that your soul chose this life, this body, this time, this path. Not by accident, but with intention. What if every challenge you faced was not a punishment, but a portal? What if your wounds were not shameful, but sacred? What if the parts you've hidden are the keys to your purpose? This is not just philosophy. This is psychology at its most profound. Because healing doesn't happen when we reject our past. It happens when we redeem it, when we find gold in the places we were taught to hide. Jung called this the alchemical process, the transformation of base material, our pain, our shadow, into gold, our wisdom, our power. That's the real hero's journey. Not slaying dragons out there, but facing the ones within. And when you do, something incredible happens. You don't just change, you transmute. You become a force. Not through violence, but through presence. Not through control, but through congruence. You stop needing to prove and start living to serve. Because in the end, success without service is hollow. The highest form of success is contribution. Not from sacrifice, but from overflow. When you're full, you naturally give. You mentor, you uplift, you create, you heal. And the irony? That's when the world starts to respond. Not when you chase it, but when you embody your truth so fully that others can't help but be drawn in. That's influence. That's legacy. That's impact. So here's your final challenge. Create a vision of success that includes your soul. Not just your goals, but your values. Not just your achievements, but your alignment. Ask yourself, What kind of human do I want to be? How do I want to feel when I wake up each morning? What do I want people to feel when they're around me? And most importantly, what kind of ancestor do I want to become? Let that guide your decisions. Let that shape your path. And now, one final truth. You will lose people along the way. Not everyone is meant to walk this path with you. Some will misunderstand you. Some will resist your growth. Some will try to pull you back into the old version of you. Let them go. Bless them. Love them. But don't shrink for them. Don't dim your light to make others comfortable. That's not kindness, it's self-abandonment. And you didn't come this far to abandon yourself again. You came to remember, to reclaim, to rise. So let me ask you the most powerful question of all, one that only you can answer. What would your life look like if you stopped pretending? Not someday, not when it's safe, not when others approve, but now. What would you do? What would you say? Who would you become? That answer is the beginning of everything. Because in the end, the real secret to succeeding in life without losing yourself isn't hidden in books, videos, or gurus. It's hidden in you, in your silence, in your courage, in your willingness to stand alone if it means standing in truth.